Hi, how are you? I'm Chief of Police Dean Rondo, and welcome back to another segment of Coffee and Connections with the Chief. And today, to my right, I have Captain Mark Livy, my executive officer, and to my left, I have my boss, Chairman Steve Wood, Chairman of the Wolfeboro Police Commission. So let me explain for all our new viewers that are tuning in for the first time and listening to this TV show. The Wolfeboro Police Department is an organization that really is made up of four components. The first component is the police department proper. The second component is the Wolfeboro Police Commission. Third component is the Wolfeboro Central Dispatch, and the fourth component is the animal control portion of the department. So four components that make up the Wolfeboro Police Department. When we're completely and fully staffed with all our full and part-time personnel, we're about 35 or so police officers and civilian men and women who make the organization run. And the entire organization is overseen by the Wolfeboro Police Commission. The commission is a four-member board that consists of three elected officials. They are the police commissioners, one chairman and two commissioners at large, and the commission secretary, and they oversee the police department, much in the same way that a board of selectmen would oversee the various town departments here in Wolfeboro or in another town. The difference is that the police commission oversees the hiring and firing and disciplining of police department personnel and fiduciary matters, so the setting of budgets, pay, compensation, salaries, so forth and so on. So fiduciary matters, hiring and firing, and the proper administration of the police department. So they're the group that I respond to. We have a ComStat meeting once a month, the third Thursday of every month, starting at 4 p.m. at the Wolfeboro Public Library in the meeting room, and that's open to the public, and you can come down and watch or listen to commission meetings and listen to the information that is put out. So for the month of October, which is the month we're in presently right now, we have a lot of things going on and a lot of things that I want to mention. Before I turn it over to Captain Mark Livy and then to Commission Chairman Steve Wood, the first thing that I think is probably on everybody's mind is Halloween. I know it's on my mind. I love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday. And so this year, the Halloween hours will be 5 to 7. You know, there's a reason for that. We don't want that going too late into the evening hours because we're in October. The season is changing. The days are getting shorter, and night is upon us, and the hours of limited visibility start at really about 4 p.m. or so. So 5 to 7 is ample time to conduct trick-or-treating, which is when the little ghouls and goblins will be out there trying to raid your candy box and your candy jars. So just be mindful of that. Parents, if your children are going to go out trick-or-treating, please be mindful of fire retardant costumes, and keep them away from open flames, and make sure that you're with them and they have their flashlights or safety devices or something that will allow them to be easily seen as they're out and about in the busy downtown area or in the various neighborhoods of Wolfeboro. And as always, stop by the Wolfeboro Police Department for some treats. We'd love to see all our little ghouls and goblins, and also we have safety lights that we will be handing out, chem lights and glow-in-the-dark bracelets that will keep your children visible at night and safe, and it's something we do every year. So please stop in and see us, and we want to see you, and we want to make sure that you're safe. And as you know, I'm all about the public safety. And in keeping with that, October also marks the beginning of our fiscal year 19 grants. Our officers will be back out doing various grant patrols for DWI interdiction, speed enforcement, click it or ticket, seatbelt enforcement. So please, voluntary compliance with the law is all we're asking. But you will see an increased presence of the Wolfeboro Police Department out on the streets enforcing those rules and regulations So please be mindful of what they are. The last thing I want to mention is that with the change of the seasons, the weather is getting cooler. The animals are on the move. They're foraging for food. The animals are going to be crossing the streets, and we know that the deer, the moose, and the bear don't always look both ways before they cross the street, so you need to drive with a little bit of due diligence. The weather will be turning. It is not inconceivable to have an early winter storm. So start preparing for the snow to start flying on or about the 20th of October. Recent years we've had unexpected winter storms that have come in at about that point in time and have caught people unprepared. Pull your boats, get them out of the water, get them off the docks, and start preparing for what could be a very long and cold winter. And with that, I now want to turn it over to Captain Mark Livy. Captain?
Thanks, Chief. Well, actually, I'll start how much he does love Halloween, knowing that I'm with him 8 to 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. His ringtone that he has for his cell phone, I literally live Halloween almost every day. Just wanted to let you guys all know that, a little thing about Chief here. But as we get
scary in my world.
But as we get into October, we just swore in Christina Martineau. So she was
our
newest officer. So she was part-time with us. She came in part-time sometime last summer of 2017. So she's transferring over from part-time now to full-time. She was over in Madison as a full-time officer right now. So, well, back in September. But she's sworn in at the last week, so if you see her out there, congratulate her. She's now full-time with the Wolfeboro Police Department. With the dispatch, nothing new going in there. We still have the background going for Heather Galligans. So that process is still there, so she should be out on dispatch doing FTO very soon, hopefully in the beginning of October here in the first weeks. Other than that, as he mentioned, the grants are out there. School is still out there. It's getting late. Dark sooner. So be careful of the kids when they get off the buses, the late bus, which gets out around 5 o'clock, 5:30. Be careful of that out there. School crossing, our normal stuff, that's every day. One thing I do want to mention is that the statistics for this year, especially our incidents, are way up. They've increased. I believe the last time I looked at it, there were about 30 to 40 incidents higher than last year, which is that's a good amount of reports that are coming into the department. I know the officers are out there on the road. You will see them more with these mobile data units that we do have. So the visibility is going to be out there. I know some of the somebody came in at the commission's meeting last month? Last month. Yeah, last month mentioned that the visibility has been out there. The help is these mobile data units that we put in the budget last year. That I think 8 of them came in for our cruisers. So it helps the officers get out in the roadway, do their work out in the roadway, get everything done out there. Communication's a lot easier. It's just more efficient for the department. So other than that, right now I'll put it over to Commissioner Steve Wood.
Commissioner.
Thank you, gentlemen. I'd like to start out this morning first by talking a little bit about the Police Commission, just kind of piggybacking what Chief Rondo mentioned earlier, in that the commission in Wolfeboro is unlike other commissions throughout the state of New Hampshire, and honestly has been since its inception. According to a local historian, I've not really looked that deeply into it, the commission was formed after some alleged spying by a former police chief back in the late 50s, and through an act of state legislation crafted in 1959, and then that legislation led to a warrant article for the voters of Wolfeboro in March of 1960. The Wolfeboro Police Commission was adopted. And like Chief Rondo alluded to, we operate pretty much the same as the Board of Selectmen do with all other town departments. We are the only authority, if you will, over the police department within the town. So our job is all encompassing as that of a Board of Selectmen member. Typically, our workload varies throughout the year. Currently, because of what I call the business or work culture here with the Wolfeboro Police Department, which I think is exceptional, we enjoy virtually no turnover within the department, except through attrition. When it is time, when we do have a vacancy, we don't have to go far to find a qualified individual. There's more of a waiting line, if you will. It's fortunate that we can enjoy that because of the work culture, the work area, the way that Wolfeboro conducts their business. The commission is also very supportive of the community policing policies that we have in place. All the tenets that go with community policing that were started with former Chief Chase and have been wholly embraced by Chief Rondo. As a side note, I was on the commission back in the 90s for a couple of consecutive terms and hired Chief Rondo as a patrolman at that time, so it was quite an honor for me to be able to promote him to chief following Chief Chase's retirement. So it was nice to see Chief Rondo come full circle and take over the reins, and is doing an amazing job. And with the promotion of Captain Libby to his current position, we have an exceptional executive team leading this department. And as far as our responsibilities as a police commission go, we are responsible for the government or the oversight for the police department, in addition to those items that Chief Rondo mentioned earlier. It is not within our purview, nor is it within our legal rights to get involved with the day-to-day operation of the police department. That is the police chief's job. We do our best to provide him with everything that he needs to execute his job effectively, but on the day-to-day operations, it is strictly up to the chief how things go. That's not to say that if something happens in the public and the public doesn't agree with something that's being done, that they can't come to the commission, come to one of our meetings, and address their concern. We're always open and welcome to that. Back in March of 2017, the commission adopted a new set of policies and procedures to regulate and to govern our meetings so that everything is run smoothly and without question. We try to maintain full transparency. We encourage the public to come to our meetings. We're always open to discuss any matters that you may have. Some may require going to non-public session. Those that don't would be held in the open session. And I'm very happy to say that in recent years, the very, very few complaints that we've had about the police department as a whole, it has been a great experience for me. It's nice to know that we're doing things to the best of our ability, that we're being well received out there in the community, and that things continue to move in a positive fashion. Lastly, I want to take it a little further with the wildlife issue that the chief alluded to earlier, because there is presently, through the month of September, there's been a number of bear sightings, as well as some phone calls made to the department, to Fish and Game, about the bear population in Wolfeboro. And I've done a little bit of research on this because the chief and I are trying to help with this problem as best that we can within the parameters that we have to operate within. The chief will be working with the Fish and Game Department for their assistance in this matter. Obviously, they're very short-staffed. There's a lot of bear issues going on presently, not just in our community, but in others. But we have to be mindful of one thing, and that is how we keep our yards, how we keep food sources. Because currently, after talking with hunters and other people that are in the woods a lot, the food source for these animals is pretty much nil in the woods, in the forests. So they're coming out into the areas where they know they have an opportunity to eat, and eat well in some cases. So if you're a business that has a dumpster, we ask you to try to keep that dumpster secure. If necessary, get a bear-proof dumpster. They are very, very functional. They do work well. If you're a homeowner, we ask that you make sure that all your trash and any other food sources that might attract not just the bear, any wild animals, but mostly the bear right now, that you do the best that you can to store those in a secure area to keep the bears away. And obviously make sure your vehicles are secure at night, no windows are left down, no food left in the vehicle, because bears will get into vehicles and they'll do a number on it. As we move forward with the mitigation of the bear problem, there are various methods that can be employed. The last thing we want to see happen is to have any bear harmed. Only when a bear becomes aggressive to the point that it can't be just removed from the area and is posing an imminent threat, then the bear would have to be put down. But the most effective method at this point is to employ an individual with bear dogs that are used for hunting, and basically all they do is they're going to chase the bear out of the area. And I know some people find that unsettling, but sometimes that is the way that we have to do it to get the bears to leave. And it's a more effective way than actually relocating the bears, because once the bears have determined that there are some good food sources here in Wolfeboro, they'll come back. They'll find their way back to the town. If they think that they're going to be chased out again by the dogs, they're less likely to come back. So with that in mind, for those of you that are hunters, I caution you and I encourage you to be very careful if you see a bear in the woods during bear season, because that could be the mother of some cubs that she treed before she ran out of town, and she's going to come back for the cubs. And if she doesn't come back, then obviously things aren't going to go well for the cubs. So we're asking that you be mindful of that if you are a hunter. And in any area that the dogs are working, they'll try to let the general population of that area know in advance what's going to happen, what's going on, just to keep everybody safe and secure. And with that, I don't think I have anything else, unless anybody has any questions. Chief?
I want to thank you very much for joining us on this segment of Coffee and Connections with the Chief. And as always, if you'd like to be on the show, all you need to do is email Tim Goodwin or Peter Boujan at Wolfeboro Community TV, or let myself or the captain know you want to be on, and come on down. We talk about anything you want. And as always, coffee's on me. So until next month, have a great day. Please be safe out there, and I will see you in November. Thank you. Hi, welcome back. I'm Chief of Police Dean Rondo with the Wolfeboro Police Department, and thank you for watching Coffee and Connections. I'm here with a new friend, Susan from New Durham, and she has a few things that she wants to get out to the public, and then maybe a couple of questions afterwards. So, Susan?
Thank you very much. Good morning. Thank you for inviting me. I just so happened to be here at this lovely grill having a nice cup of coffee and get to meet our wonderful officers here, which is really nice. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Citizens Count. It's an organization that's been in New Hampshire now for about 10 years. One of your residents here, Mr. Paul Montrone, started it, and it's really taking off. We've had a wonderful time in engaging citizens in nonpartisan, non-biased information about candidates that run here in New Hampshire. You know, it's that first in New Hampshire, first in nation. We're all about that. We have come up with an app that you can download on your telephone, and it shows you everyone that's running from the representative level all the way up to the governor, and then of course in 2020 it will be the president as well. This information is totally yours to use. It's again nonpartisan, non-biased. We never take a position. We talk to you about what the representatives are doing, what their legislative bills are that's going in front of the state level, what those bills, if they've passed, if they haven't passed. It also gives you their attendance records, the reps, and whether or not they attend, if they vote, and how they vote, and are they voting by the party line, or are they voting for their constituents. Very important information for you to see. We have a political analyst that's on board with us, and she takes all of these bills and places them on our website, which is www.citizenscount.org, in layman's terms, so that we can all understand exactly what's going in front of the state legislature, so that we know that we can give our voices and understand what's being said. Talking about voices, it's very important. We have the ability to take your voice and bring it up to Concord. And we have a Facebook page, which is citizenscount.org. You can go on our Facebook page, and we have questions that go up there on a daily basis, that's things that are happening here in New Hampshire that are critical to all of us. and you can give us your voice, and your voice will be brought up to Concord, and we will testify in front of the legislature if there's a bill that's important to us all. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. And we're hoping to bring this down on a town level, which will be really wonderful, so that you selectmen will be on there, as well as anybody that's running for office, any commissions. So we hope that you'll check us out on citizenscount.org, and let's be informed when it comes time for our government election.
Thank you very much, Susan. And I just want to say that citizenship is really the cornerstone upon which our democratic institutions are really founded. And so understanding civics and how your state and local and even federal government works is very, very important. So this is a great program, great project, and great organization, and I want to encourage all of our listeners to get involved and understand who the candidates are and what the issues are, and do the deep dive, do the research. It's really, really important. Just don't take the guided tour. Do your own independent research, and it's super, super important. And it's organizations like this that are going to help us understand what is really going on. So I want to applaud you for taking this on and getting this app out. And again, citizenship is very important. It's very important to me. Civics is very important. You have to know and understand how your local government works. You have to know and understand how the state government works, and we all should know how the federal government works. So, yeah. So that's a topic near and dear to my heart. So I want to thank you very much, Susan, for coming on. Did you have any other things you want to talk about?
I do.
Excellent.
So just recently, I was engaged with the Monarch School of New England, and we built a school for children with disabilities, and we were putting on a bike ride. And the bike ride was coming up through Wolfeboro, and I want you to know that I engaged in conversation with your officers, and they were so willing and so helpful about setting up the bike ride, and just opened their arms. And it's probably one of the only towns that I got that from, but I'm not going to say that out loud. But anyway, I want to thank you that you guys were very, very willing to help us out. So.
We always will be, and I speak not just for the Wolfeboro Police Department, but for all the men and women who make up the organization, and as well as the Police Commission. That community policing is very, very important to us, and we follow the tenets and the principles of community policing. And we're looking to solve problems. We're looking to work with the community where we can. And we're looking for that synergistic and symbiotic relationships that we can get by working with all organizations and all groups. And of course, we will always be very friendly, very courteous. And if we're not, then I need to know. Because sometimes, Susan, mistakes do happen, and I can't fix these mistakes if I don't know. So, and I say this to all the folks, good, bad, or indifferent. I need to know how we're doing. So if something is going right, I can encourage that to continue in that direction. But more importantly, if something's going wrong, I need to know so I can fix it.
So I'll tell you, so Citizens Count has an opportunity for you. If you're interested in what your citizens are thinking and you want to do a little pilot program to throw a question out there, we'll be willing to post that for you if there's something that you would like to know. And the citizens can go on the website or go on our Facebook page and post their answers to you.
That's fantastic.
So we can be of service to you as well.
I think we're going to take advantage of that.
Good.
All right, Susan,
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate it, and we appreciate, obviously, good citizens like yourselves taking an interest in governance and how it's done, and because New Hampshire is unique. We do have an advantage, right? And I'm not just spitballing here, right? The governor says that this all the time. We have the New Hampshire advantage. We are first in the nation for a lot of things, and we want to keep that ball rolling. So please, folks, get involved, understand what the issues are, connect with Susan's organization. And as always, if you need anything from the Wolfeboro Police Department, we're here to serve and protect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, folks, for joining me on Coffee and Connections with the Chief. And please be my guest on the show. Come on in, talk about anything you want. And we can talk about baseball, football. We can talk about the weather. We can talk about scuba diving. We can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Or if you want to dive into First Amendment and Fourth Amendment issues, we can do that too. So please be my guest on Coffee and Connections with the Chief. And as always, coffee's on me.
All right.
Susan, thanks. I am Chief Dean Rondeau with the Wolfeboro Police Department, and welcome back to Coffee and Connections with the Chief. And as always, this is your monthly safety tip for the month of October. There's actually going to be two. The first one is my personal favorite, the weather. I am a weather enthusiast, and October begins to mark when the weather really begins to change, and not for the better, for the worse. And yes, there's going to be a lot of beautiful, cool, crisp days in October, but we're going to have a lot of rain and possibly even some snow toward the tail end of October. The leaves get wet, they get slippery, and your ability to stop on wet, leaf-covered ground is greatly diminished. So please, as always, be mindful of your speed, be mindful of the weather conditions. The second is Halloween. The children will be out. They'll be going to Halloween parties. They'll be going trick-or-treating. There's a lot of family activities that take place over the month of October. So please be mindful of our children, our little ones that oftentimes are difficult to see. They're very energetic. They run around a lot, and please be mindful. We want to make sure that we don't have any vehicle and pedestrian crashes, and please be mindful while they're on their bikes. I implore you. We've already had one fatality this year. I don't want any others. So thank you very much for paying attention. Volunteering compliance with the law is all we're asking. And again, I thank you for tuning in to Coffee and Connections with the Chief. And as always, please be safe out there, and I will see you next month. Thank you very much, and have a great day. And happy Halloween, everybody. Bye-bye.